Myself, my brother, the family take our bait very seriously. The main thing for me, and I say this to everybody, it's like customers always first, but ultimately in this occasion the fish is first because the customer's not digesting the bait. Don't get me wrong, there's the likes of Jay that in the latest video like to seem to eat the fruit and nut wafters in each to their own. But what I'm trying to put across is our number one priority as a family is making sure the fish have got a good bait to eat that's actually beneficial to them. So we couldn't possibly go over all the products today, Tommy, could we? But
we've done a small limited run of what we got and a couple of the limited edition bits in here as well, and then the new products on the end. So what I'm going to be doing is handing around the products. You can have a little sniff. Some of these absolutely reek. Don't put them on yourself. Don't get them on your hands. You're going to smell it for probably the rest of the week. Especially like the monster crab flat spot stuff. Just be wary. It does really smell. We've got a new particle range in front of us as well, which we're going to run through today. And yeah, I'll pass it around, have a sniff, have a play.
So as I'm going through today, guys, if anyone just wants to pull their arm up, if they've got any questions, I've seen you say about it in a video, Ben, but I don't have a clue what you mean. Can you re-explain it and show me in person? That's not an issue at all. What I will do is after this talk today, I'm going to stay at this station for about 10 minutes after, just to speak to people. Maybe they don't want to put their hand up in front of people. That's totally fine. I totally respect that. But yeah, anytime, ask any questions you've got about the products. So we'll kick it off then, Tommy. We're going to kick it off with our flat spots. So if you get some bottles going round, we've also got our Scopex as well. So I'll touch on all of these. So again, have a little bit of a smell, guys. These are available today. We just pass these round. Now the Scopex flat spot, where did that come from? Now the Scopex has been around for about a decade, probably longer if I'm honest with you. It's something I used to use as a kid and I still use to this day. Here at Parker Baits, we're not trying to recreate the wheel. What I am trying to do is bring old school ingredients that have been around for years, and I feel as Parker Baits we're putting balanced levels in, and then you've got a match made in heaven. Now going back to the Scopex, so you've got a very ice creamy sort of smelling infused oil. Believe it or not, there's actually 5 different oils in this particular product. There's also a chili oil in there as well. So if you were to, and I'm not advising you do by any means, but if you were to stick your finger in it and touch it with your tongue, it's very spicy. Rob learned the hard way. Let's just say that. So Scopex flat spot, how would I use it and why is it so good? Well, like I mentioned, the Scopex flat spot was one of these products that I didn't really want to release, but my brother was adamant that we had to release this product.
Guys, I've got mine already.
That was my edge. That Scopex, that beautiful little bottle there was my edge. And I have got an edge a little bit. It's not going to use Scopex on the lake before.
Got my one already, guys.
My favourite thing to do with it is boost my hook baits, inject my PVA bags and enhance absolutely everything with it. I don't think you can put enough Scopex flat spot on if I'm honest with you, but again, it is an expensive product and just putting a little bit in just to see the visual that it does on a lake is perfect. What I mean by that is if you put a little bit on, see what kind of visual you're getting, and then you can stop. It might be that you just want to get that visual so you know when you're fishing, you can hit that route every single time. So that there is our flat spot, very briefly. Great product. Just one thing I will say is with the flat spots as a general, it's an oil-based product. Now an oil-based product is naturally going to float to the surface as it would in water. So what I'm trying to put across is if you're fishing it in a PVA bag scenario or you've added to your mix, you can put it directly out on the spot. What you'll find is initially you'll get that flat spot straight away. You'll always see that flat spot. 2, 3, 4 hours will pass and that flat spot will disappear. I've been up the likes of Linear Fisheries. I've turned round to Rob, we've made the joke before. Nothing's happened, it's dead, nothing at all. Lovely ripple across the water. All of a sudden you go, is that a flat spot coming up? And you start seeing it evolve and getting bigger. What that is it's the fish dispersing the oils on the bottom, naturally disrupting them, and then they're coming up. So what I'm trying to put across is 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 hours later, after you putting that bait on the spot, the visual aspect is there to know that you've got fish on your spot. And like I said, we go back to what I originally was saying at Linear Fish. I've been there, Rob. That rod's going to go, that rod's going to go. You watch, that rod is going to go. You watch. 20 minutes, that rod goes. Because the fish are on the spot disturbing the oil. So that's enough on that one. I'm going to briefly touch on now our magic dust, but again, I'm going to touch on this a lot more this afternoon. What I'm going to do is at the moment, I'm just going to touch on the ingredients within. Passing around very quickly. Bearing in mind this one to a left, if anybody's allergic to nuts, please be sensible. And the other one's very spicy, so keep it not too close to your nose and don't sniff it too hard. So, magic dust. Now this one, I am proud to announce. Magic dust, when we first dropped it as brothers, as a family, everybody laughed at us and they went, gimmick, yeah, magic dust, and then they used it, and then they kept coming back for more. This is something different. 300 grams of powder, Tom, tell me if I'm wrong, in each pot. 20 different food particles in the fruit and nut. So these range from, so you've got tiger nut meals in there, a high-end peanut protein, Himalayan rock salt. Very stimulating to cut. And like I said, being that this is, yes, it's an expensive product, but a very good product, with the magic dust, you don't need much of it. The best way to describe this is use it like, almost like Tabasco sauce on your food. You can just sprinkle a little bit over and that's enough. My favourite thing to use, particularly the fruit in that one for, is putting it at the bottom of your PVA bag, stopping that hook point flow. And again, we'll discuss that later on. We do the PVA bag talk this afternoon. Now moving on to the OG fish. You know when you've got the OG fish magic dust under your nose, because it's 27 different food particles, there's also 17 different spices. You've got CPSP 90 and their LT 94. Now some of you probably thinking, Ben, you're just plucking out numbers here and saying letters. What's CPSP 90? Is a pre-digest fish. It's almost like a floury content, very potent to the nose, Tom, isn't it? Very soluble in the water. Blood plasma, again, another product that's in there. What is blood plasma? It's powdered pig's blood, very stimulating. Now, I remember at school, I remember the teacher always saying to me, with a shark, you drop blood in the water, the shark can smell it from X amount of miles away. Now, I'm not saying for a second a carp does the same, but what I am saying is it's got that stimulating factor. Blood plasma is it's a very potent, you can almost, when you're mixing the product with your boilies or mixing our magic dust, you can taste the iron within the blood plasma. If anybody's used it, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. So going back to what I originally said about the shark, from a carp perspective, it's very stimulating. You'll see a fish pull over a spot, its gills will be moving. Something that we tested on site, hours of GoPro footage, refining what we're doing, bringing up percentages by 2 to 5% to then get what we've got today. 27 different food particles. That there, I do not leave home with. They're both as good as each other in my eyes. I do like mixing the both, but like I said, perfect for the PVA bag scenario. That's our magic dust. Again, if anybody wasn't aware, you can put it on everything, you can supercharge everything. I've just come back from Euro Aqua, something that was doing very well. Emma actually showed me up a little bit on this one, had a big common. She had a £49 common, new PB for her. What was she doing? She was using an 80mm hardened hooker, dunking it in the flat spot or the sauce or even lake water, depending on how she felt and how she felt. But she was then dunking it in the magic dust. What you'll find is, it's very similar to your chicken in a steamer. If you were to sprinkle curry powder over it, it's going to infuse your chicken, which is very similar to what it does to a boilie. If you put it on top of your bivvy, you leave it X amount of hours. Especially Euro Aqua, it was 37 degrees. You can imagine it almost burning the bait to a degree and pulling in with them 17 different spices. So why have I brung this up? Now, a lot of people don't like the big PVA bags, but I think personally you've got the power of a PVA bag, but on a single hook bait. Because you can cast it further because it's not a bag and it's a single hook bait, but it's also supercharged, like I mentioned, with the dust and the flat spot, and you can get that accuracy and distance. So definitely a food for thought and something you should maybe try in your own angling. So that there is the magic dust. Now I'm going to quickly touch on our new particle range. We've come up with some very interesting names, and I think everybody's gone down the tree and everybody's loved it. So I'm going to pass this one over to Tom. He's going to touch on our particle range and exactly what we have to offer. We'll go from there.
So obviously we've been open for a couple of years now, and everyone's been on our case to release some particles. We've tried to do our best and release 6 in our range. A couple in front of me here is the Sexy Spod Mix. Perfectly spodding. There's no nuts in there as well, if there's any nut bands anywhere. We've got our chili hemp, which is perfect for our OG fish range. And then there's 4 other ones in our range as well. We've also done a collab with our Carp Tech friends. Yeah, massive one for us. It's gone down really well. We've sold hundreds of tubs so far. They come in 3-litre jars. You get just over 2.5 kilo particle. There's loads in the range. I can't possibly touch on every ingredient. But yeah, check them out on our website, and there's loads in there today. And they're free for 30 quid.
And just working off the back of what Tom said, having a shelf life particle in your van is just so convenient. Fresh particle's great. This is fresh. It's getting cooked on a weekly basis, but obviously we've evened it out with a stabiliser to stop it. But we've used naturals to do that, haven't we? Things like salts, etc., to make it a shelf life product. Got caught off guard the other week. I was up on a water. I'm like, damn, I've run out of bait. I'll be damned. Underneath of my transit, I had a couple of jars, and the particular one, funny enough, was chili hemp. it saved my backside because you can just keep them in your van. You run out of bait. It's the worst thing in the world is when you get to a point,
Keep that on there.
you run out of bait, you can't catch no more fish because you run out of bait. You've got that back up in your van, it's great.
No, I've got some of the Mutt's nuts.
Yep.
And first thing I noticed when I opened it is it don't have that horrible vinegary smell that a lot of the competitors have.
Amen. I agree. So again, where we're using a natural source, like we just mentioned, Steve, we're using a natural ingredient to stabilise the product and make it shelf life. That does eliminate that problem.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of companies will use things like glycerines, monopropylenes. No nutritional value in glycerine or monopropylene, but monopropylene, the benefits to that is it stops fermentation and molds, retains moisture, and that's it.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised when I opened it.
No, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've been.
As long as you keep the water level over the park, it won't go off.
And that's a big question we get a lot. Oh, I've used half of it. What you're better off doing is if you get down to halfway and you've used the water, because you'll need to use the good bit when you were fishing. What I would advise you do when you get home, top it up with your water from home so it goes over the level. Put a couple of cups of salt in it. Job done. You'll be fine. That will be all right then for at least another month. So if you think, oh, you know, I'm not fishing till 3 weeks' time, instead of throwing it away, because bait isn't cheap, I'm terrible for that. I'll bring it home, I'm going to save that, keep that in, and I just use it on my next trip. It also saves
Or if you want to use the liquid, because there's preservatives in that liquid, you want to add it to your mix, it will also preserve the things in your mix as well.
Amen. Amen. So on offer today as well, mini mix pellet, but I touch on the mini mix, guys, because that's going to be hard in the PVA bag talk this afternoon. I think that's 2 o'clock, Tom.
Yes, yeah.
2 o'clock today. 5 different pellets, 5 different breakdowns. We sell probably 1.5 ton of this a week.
Got mine already.
It's crazy. It's heavy on the pellet. There's 5 different breakdowns, 5 different oil contents, and it's just a great pellet and my favourite. Like I said, perfect for the PVA bag scenario. Now we've got our Parker Baits buckets, and I'm going to quickly touch on our natural magic beans. So if we get a few pots going around, have a smell.
They're quite strong as well.
They're strong. So these are our new magic beans. So we
Great
dropped
for
the
top water,
15s, and
guys.
everybody, it seemed like the whole fishing industry was like, oh my God, you've dropped these little sexy dumbbells and they're now a natural colour. Meaning that you can fish very subtly on the bottom and you're not fishing a high-vis pop-up. Look at me, here I am, a high-vis pop-up. This is very subtle. I was using these up Lions Drove last week and they feel it, they feed it with a lot of pellet. Now having a brown/black magic bean, natural magic bean was doing all my bites. So again, something a little bit more subtle. I would say something a little bit more refined as an angler. You can use them 3 different colours, and also the little sandy whitey coloured ones in there are my personal favourite at the moment, and they're doing bites on up and down the country, aren't they? So that's our natural beans. But again, go over. We've got the full selection of our hook baits in, and this isn't a hook bait talk. So have a look at our hook baits in there. So I'm going to touch on our liquid foods, and I'm going to touch onto the boilies. The main thing, whys and the do's and the don'ts behind the boilies, the really interesting bits in my eyes, and I'm sure people here today, and I know there's a couple of people in front of me that are really interested in the boilie side of things. So next up is our pure liquid foods. Again, I just walk around with these guys. Now, a lot of time and efforts went into these, Tom, haven't they? In the product. But being that it's a liquid product, and again, I don't need to criticise anyone, but there's a lot of bulkers in the fishing industry. A lot of people will bulk it out. I'm not a fan of bulking things out. If people are paying good money for it, at least me to do as a family is give you a bloody good product, a good product. Now, this is a pure liquid food. What you'll find is, in a tank, you'll find it will drop straight to the bottom. This is also PVA bag friendly. There's no glycerines in it, and there's no monopropylenes in it. Again, this has got fish hydroslate in and a fermented chili. 2 devastating products. When you mix the 2 together and you start supercharging things, it's this one particularly is my go-to, particularly through the summer months, and again this one through the colder months as well. Again, a great product, PVA bag friendly, and another way of boosting your particle with not putting loads of flat spot in. This will, to a degree, give you a flat spot on the top, but not as severe as the flat spot itself, because of the hydroslate in there. But what I would say is with this stuff, it's down to personal preference. I like to put it on like sauce, and if everybody's seen me eat my food or anybody's watched the channel, I like a lot of sauce. So I put a lot of it on my bait, and the reason for that is I want to infuse it, because what I do find is, particularly places like linear fisheries, when you're fishing at range, you're putting a spom out, it's hitting the water, and what you'll find is it makes this beautiful cloud. because of the liquid food within it. Again, an oil-based product's just going to make a flat spot. It's not going to make a cloud. So then what you're doing is you're hitting all the different levels of the water column. And ideally, well, in my head, you're pulling the fish in. And then from a zig scenario, this stuff blooming brilliant. Why? Because it keeps that cloud there, it keeps them hovering, makes the fish feed, stimulates them, pulls them into that spot, gets them feeding up and down the levels. Again, liquid food, great product. Now, our boilies. Tom, I think it's better for you to touch on. Let's talk to the guys about when me and you put our life savings into these boilies and what was happening in your garage and how it's evolved recently.
So me and Ben saved up for many years, put a lot of money aside to save up for this machine. We had this bright idea of creating a bait company. We soon realised that making a ball was extremely difficult. So we combined all our favourite ingredients, the ingredients Ben's used for years. We used it
on the table, didn't I? I've always done it. So upset him as a kid, just to come in and be like, why are you making that smelly stuff again? I used to use a table. Table's completely different to a big boy machine that can shoot out half a ton a day or a ton a day.
You can make 20 kilos a day on tables. You can't make a business from it. So we went over to Holland, found our machine, we got it delivered in the next couple of months and found it extremely difficult to get the balances correct. We knew what we needed to do as in ingredients, it was very difficult creating the boilies. Here we are today.
And there it is, like Tom said. And the one thing he didn't mention there is, I remember when Mum and Dad first saw it, because it was all quiet. Me and Tom, like I said, we saved for this for years, but they turned up. And my Mum and Dad
was in my garage at the time.
Was at your garage, trying to keep it away from here. And they would turn around and go, what have you done? Where have you spent all this money on this beautiful machine? But it's we got there in the end. But going back to what Tom was just saying about the ingredients, we couldn't make a ball. Now, why was that? Because of the high-end ingredients within the bait. Now, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to break this up. And
when you put chunky ingredients in something, it's quite difficult to make it round.
Sorry, yeah, that's exactly the way to explain it. Yeah. So this is our, I like to say, our famous OG fish. So again, just be careful, guys. It's a very spicy bait. Now I'm going to kick it off
Very hot.
what we do differently to other bait companies. Now, not for a second am I saying we're the only bait company that does this, but we steam. We steam our baits. When you steam your chicken, you steam your broccoli, it tastes better than it does when you boil it. Because when you boil your broccoli, it sits there, the water's greener than the broccoli itself. When you make your boilies at home, you make your own hook baits, the water smells better than the boilies itself. So what I'm trying to put across is when you steam a bait, you formally lock in that nutritional value. Now let me go through the stats. And bearing in mind that Tom has spent thousands on this to begin with, because you've got to have your stats, and secondly, because of me and how I am, I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know percentages, I wanted to know protein percentages, I wanted to know everything about it. So we sent it off to a laboratory, Tom, and it cost a lot of money, didn't it? Yeah. So then we could then deter why is a boil better over a steam, and the stats are 66% plus 60%, stats to prove, our stats that we've sent over to a laboratory, with a boil gets pulled away from it. That's over 50% of the nutritional value. It bleeds the bait because you're fully submerged in the water, boiling under the water. And like I said, it's pulling everything away from it. 23 to 24% is with a steam. So if you put 66 and 24 together, put them two together, that's chalk and cheese in my eyes. Just by steaming a bait. Crazy. Because when you steam a bait and you put it in a steamer, the water it's going to ingress up to a degree, but not as much as fully submerging it underneath the water itself. So that's my first thing. And I think something that makes us stand out is our steaming here at Parker Baits. Now, Tom will touch on the smells of what are in our OG fish.
So ingredients in this one, you've got some high-end fish meals. You've obviously got a lot of chili in there, different spices. There's garlic in there, some birdseed content as well, which just helps out. If you just roll a fish meal bait, it goes very hard and the water can't get in. It doesn't break down. Obviously, combined with our dusting process, it fluffs up, it breaks down quickly. The seeds in there, the water gets in there. Happy days. So you've got, what else you've got in there? So CPS-90, LT94, blood plasma.
We've level of soy flour, but not too much. The soy flour is great to have in a bait because it's the same vegans get their protein source, isn't it? Which is just, again, you put it in.
A lot of people will bulk out with maize flour, obviously very cheap. We use the top end soya flour, which is over 40% protein in that, over 96% protein in blood plasma.
Yeah. And bearing in mind as well, a lot of bait companies out there, again, I don't let you sit and criticise anyone, but a lot of companies out there will go, oh yeah, but ours is 70%. That's 70% protein. A fish can only digest, I think it's 36% in it, or 35, it's one of the two. Can only digest that much protein. If you've got a bait with 70% protein, it's not gonna, it's just gonna puff it out.
And they don't want to be digesting that throughout the winter months. So we've dropped ours down to 27% on the OG fish, which means you can use it all year round. It still breaks down, the carp can still digest it.
Oil content's low, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, the oil content's actually lower than our fruit and nut bait, obviously with a high amount of nuts. Nuts are fatty, nuts are oily. So there's actually lower oil percentage in our OG fish.
And it's funny you say that, because Tom said that, he's not the nail on the head there. And you get a lot of people go, I use the fruit and nut through the winter. But like Tom just said, actually, from a scientific point of view and a digestibility point of view, like Tom just said, the OG fish is actually more digestible
Well,
through the
actually,
winter
at
months than the
Parker
fishes
Baits
because of the nut
open day,
content
so
and the
this is
fat
their own
content within.
pond at their
So that's
own
quite
venue.
interesting, mate, isn't it really? Again, like I said, here at Parker Baits, we really want to think about what we're doing and just take things that little step further to hopefully maximise your chances, my chances on the bank. This is another thing. A lot of top anglers out there may be getting a slightly different bait to you're seeing. I will go in on a weekly basis. When I make my film every week, I'll go in and I'll take it off the shelf. Well, that is it's the same as everybody else's.
Orders, quite annoying.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, just finishing it off, OG fish, last but not least, and this happens with both of our baits, we double dust them. Now, what you'll find is with our baits, they've got this lovely, sexy crust around them, almost like when you eat a Dorito and you get it all over your fingers when you've eaten the hot Doritos. It all gets over your fingers. Now, it's exactly the same with our baits. Now, there they are, the sexy little ball of goodness, that is. It's got 17 different spices around it, CLO content, and much more as well. Now, what you'll find is, again, I haven't got a tank in front of me,
And that's
but this
why I
again
like
is an
using
edge
these
in my eyes.
guys.
Prior to us playing about the dusting is our edge, we only want that dust baits. I'm sure there are others. We're the best. Dusting, you'll find that each bait will have a little halo around it. So as it breaks down in the water on the lake bed, if you're fishing seal, if you're fishing
Yeah, do
gravel,
so. They're
particularly
amazing.
Silk, I love to use the OG fish because it
It's all
almost
family
bleeds
run as
into
well.
the silt itself. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been up in the fisheries and I've seen fish there 2-3 hours later just mouthing the silt. You think, why are you mouthing the silt? Because they're still tasting the dusting round there. I mean, it's hot. It's very hot. It's nice to say. It's very hot. So there they are, OG fish, the steamed, nutritional value through the roof, and a double dusted bait. Now,
They're on both, mate.
I've just touched on the dusting, but let me explain how.
They do enjoy.
We have done it in previous years. Someone called out on it earlier. We had a production line here. It didn't work to plan really. It's something that we need to refine, and as we're still learning as brothers, as a family as well. So we had the line. So what happens when we roll our baits here at Parker Baits? So you'll see Theo there, the head chef. He's on one on a daily basis after the machine. You have your extruder. The extruder will then push the sausage along the line. The sausage will then come along the line. It will then hit the roller. The roller then the sausage then hits the sensor, which then cuts the sausage. It will then drop down into the cutter section where it makes the balls. Now, this is something a little bit different that we do at Parker Baits. So now you've got these balls that have sat there. You've got the fresh dough. They haven't gone in the steamer yet. These balls haven't gone in the steamer yet. What you'll find is Theo will dust them, and it will stick to the bait, and it will clag to the bait. Then they go in the steamer, and they get steamed for a very small period of time. Now, that's one thing we don't talk about is our steam here at Parker Baits, for obvious reasons, because I have every Tom, Dick and Harry copy of it. But steaming, very short periods of time. So I'm going to say again, I've dusted it. It's come out the steamer now for a short period of time. And then we move on to our second stage dusting. So it gets hit with a dust again. And that's what makes that lovely crust around it very time consuming. Most boat companies say, it's not worth it. It's too long. Because it is, Tom, isn't it? It takes hours to make minimal about. We don't make as much as the big boys, but we take our time and love what we do.
Stay with us and I'll give you their website, guys.
So there they are. That's the OG fish, and I'm going to touch on the OG fruit and nut. Has anybody got any questions in regards to the OG fish?
These open brand new bags there, guys. Look. So this is what you actually can order off of their website. I'll give you the website in a minute, guys.
It's got a lot of nuts in it.
Yeah, again, anybody with nut allergy, guys, please be careful. So there it is. And again, I know I keep saying it, but the famous OG fruit and nut. Chocolate orange, peanut and coconut. Free flavourings, again, have been around for decades. We're not trying to recreate the wheel here at Parker Baits. They've been around for
Break
decades.
a couple up, feel how soft they are. You're more than welcome to break them up all you like. They're very soft baits. Break them up. It's a lot more subtle this one, so you will have to.
They
break
do
it
stay
a
on
little
the
bit
hook
to get the
really,
smells
really
from it.
well, though.
Obviously, when you coat something, you lock in the smells.
Yeah, I agree. Tom's knocked the nail on the head there, and something I haven't mentioned is how soft our bait is. Not great for a throwing stick, but you'll find that's again another reason why it's very digestible all year round, because of the softness, and also because we don't over steam them as well. They're not sat in a steamer for 25 minutes. They get licked with the steamer. They come out, and like I said, you've got that beautiful little.
Try and get Caroline
So
put up
chocolate
their
orange,
website,
peanut and
guys.
coconut. Peanut proteins, Tom. We'll touch on peanut protein. Now there's high-end peanut proteins, mate, and there's not so good ones, isn't there?
Yeah, when you work your way through them, you'll soon notice that the expensive ones are the good ones. When you get a nice expensive one, the protein level is really high and the fat percentage is really low. So we went for a really good one.
Fat percentage is too high. Already, the digestibility through the winter months is higher, so you go and put a poor peanut protein in, the fat percentage go up and makes it even less digestible through the winter months. But again, these are the little things that you need to look into. That's what pulls us apart from the rest. Actually, scientific background to why the bait does well all year round. So good levels of CLO in it. Also, we've got tiger nut meal in it. Now, tiger nut meal, I haven't got any in front of me today, but it's literally a tiger nut cut up into, I'd imagine, anywhere, what would you say, from 1 to 3 mil?
Yeah.
Sort of that sort of size. The conversations I've had on the phones with people and had debates, and they go, oh, tiger nut meal's the same as tiger nut flour. It's not. It's not the same. The product's the same, but the visual aspect and the crunch factor is chalk and cheese. Ours is a tiger nut meal, not a tiger nut flour. So you'll find that there's loads of little bits of goodness from 1 to 3 mil. And when you break the bait,
There you go, guys. If you want to order Parker Baits, you can order
now
it
you've
online.
got that crunch factor back. Now, earlier I was saying about when they was mouthing the salt and it was getting stimulated by it. Now, I feel that a carp gets massively stimulated by things like hemp, peanuts, tiger nuts, because of that crunch factor. The way I describe to people when they're in the factory is like, you know, when you put your head underneath the bath, in the bath, and you close your eyes, and you tap the side of the bath, and you can hear everything. It's very. That's how I feel a fish is when it's feeding on the bottom, crunching that. It's getting that same. They're hearing it like we would in a bath, if you like. You imagine if you got two fish feeding on a whole, on our particle or whatever that may be, or a boilie on the bottom. 3 or 4 fish all crunching, because carp have teeth when he wasn't there, which makes them crushing while they eat things like crayfish, etc., which is at the back of their throats. That crunch is going to stimulate and then almost bring in a feeding frenzy, which again, places like linear fisheries, you've got 2,000 fish. It's a lot of fish in there. You can get them feeding and get them stimulated. It's massively going to give you an edge on the bait, fact. So there is a quick insight on our fruit and nut and our OG fish. Obviously, we've touched on a few of our other products. I don't know what the time is. Yeah. So there it was. I'm like I said, I'm going to.
Questions, wants to pop over? Feel free to come over.
I'm going to be here for sort of 10
Burgers are
now.
now being served as well, guys. Just please be wary. Don't go over.
Burgers, guys.
A little bit of a queue there.
So just very quickly before I go, do go. What's the other times of this? Steve.
1 p.m. float.
So 1 p.m. same space. We've got floater fishing this afternoon. So myself and Rob, you've probably seen in the channel a lot. We're going to talk about how we fish our floaters, why we fish our floaters, and to maximise your edge, maximise your fishing.
So we'll go live again a bit later, guys. So come back and join us again a bit later today.
Loads of them, Tom, haven't we? They're absolutely great. We've also got to talk at 2 o'clock,
Solid bag.
which is Solid Bag, which is in the main building. But for now, make sure you don't forget Mark over the back over there. He's putting 15 wraps on people. My brain can't comprehend that. 15 wraps on top of what people are causing. That's crazy. Some people can't even cast 15 wraps. You've got our game here. Obviously, if you're under 16, you can use the lake today. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming here today to Parker Baits HQ, supporting me and my family. It means the world to us. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, time for screenshots.
Yes.
Right, if you do a screenshot of this, guys, this is Parker Baits, okay? So get in there and get a screenshot, guys.
That's all right.
No, one of her.
That's all right. Cool.
All right. So get your screenshots in quick.
So when I say I mix two, if it's 2 particles, that's great.
Yeah, very well done, innit, guys?
Me and you go into a bucket.
So this is open day today, guys. I use Parker baits on quite a lot of my stuff. Right, we'll turn you around. I use Parker baits on quite a lot of my stuff that I fish, a lot of different lakes and that. So I've come here today to do open day down there. So take you guys with us. When they do different talks and that lot, we'll do a quick live and that lot so you guys can see it as well. But do come back a bit later. We'll be doing another live a bit later. So keep an eye out. Hit the bell notification. You'll be able to see when we go live. All right. And please do like and subscribe, guys. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye for now.
I'm like,
This is going to keep fish running around.